Hey everyone, Liz here, and in this video I'm going to walk you through my entire process to creating a job description for hiring. Now, a job description is honestly the most important piece of paper that you need to find the right people for your construction business. So many people just want to describe a couple of things that this person is going to do or state a few qualities that this person has, but a job description is really a thorough description of what this person does, how they do it, how they're going to be measured as successful. And it honestly raises the bar in your construction business and creates higher standards, which you are easily able to scale and grow your construction business. If you're just getting Joe Blow down the street who happens to know how to swing a hammer and you say, hey, can you manage this job for me? And they're like, yeah, sure, I can manage the job. And then you run into so many employee problems. It's because you didn't start with this very vital piece called a job description. So I'm going to actually walk you through my entire framework for a job description. Now, if you want these exact prompts to create this most vital piece of the puzzle to scaling your construction business, aka creating job descriptions that are effective, then just head over to my Instagram account and comment on any post job descriptions, and I'll send it right over to you. Now, let's get started. The first thing is I use ChatGPT for creating job descriptions. And the reason I do this is because it can say things so much more eloquently than I can. It can organize all my thoughts and it can create a job description in a fraction of the time. However, the problem with ChatGPT is it's taking everyone else's businesses and kind of morphing that together and making mud stew of a job description when you just go and ask it for, hey, write me a job description for a superintendent. It doesn't know anything about your business, what you do, how you do it, the values you hold, or anything like that. And so garbage in, garbage out. If you don't tell ChatGPT all the specifications around the job description, it will actually create a job description that's effective for your business. And so there's really a couple of different pieces of paper that are needed for this job description. The first one is the job description prompt worksheet. This is where I fill in general information about the business. Usually the contractor does this. I did this for an electrical company that I'm working with. And so I just went through and said, okay, who are they? Where are they working? What are they going to be doing in this job? What position it is? These are just basic questions that sometimes get overlooked because they're so basic, but you are strong in the basics. You can then scale with ease. It goes through some knowledge and skills and abilities. And honestly, this prompt is actually twice as long, but we just delete anything that doesn't work or doesn't apply to the position. For instance, this is a office coordinator position. So there's a whole section on the physical capabilities that somebody needs. Maybe they need to be able to work in extreme weather environments. I'm in Boise, Idaho, and honestly, it can be really hot or really cold. And if you're on a job site, you need to be able to handle that. Walking over uneven surfaces. If you're in construction zone, you're not walking on a very smooth mall flooring. You are actually walking on boards and on steps and over this and over tools and making sure that your environment is safe. And so we take all of that into consideration when we are creating a job description. If you do more commercial work, you need to specify what that's going to look like because you're probably going to be managing subs more than you're going to be managing crews. If you're have your own crew built out and you have all your own employees and you don't use subs, then your job description is going to look a little bit differently. And so instead of trying to think of all of this information, I just have a prompt here that just asks all this information. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm an electrical contractor. Oh yeah, this is the type of stuff that I do. Oh yeah, here's where I work. And so it's very basic information, but it's a lot of times the basic parts that get missed that create the chaos in your business. So this is the first thing that I did. Now I'm going to jump over to another piece of paper that I created specifically for this position. So the next thing that I did is I niched down even more. Okay, what exactly is this person going to do? Now I have a roles and responsibility list for every area of your business. So this one in particular was for anybody in the office, admin, sales, marketing kind of role. And it lists all the responsibilities that somebody could theoretically do in this type of position. Now, obviously, one person may not do all of these, but it gives you basically an idea of what somebody could do. Because the other part with creating a job description is like, okay, well, I know I need to hire, but I don't know if I can actually fill 40 hours a week of work for somebody. So I'm just going to continue to grind it out myself and work 80-hour weeks because I'm not willing to go through and figure out what somebody else can take off my plate and what somebody else can do. And so when you go through this, you're like, oh, wow, there is actually a lot of things that somebody could be doing for me or that are not even getting done in the first place. And they're causing chaos in the end because they weren't done at the beginning. And so now you're putting out the fires and all these things. And so instead of trying to brainstorm and think of all these things, I just have a list. And then if something doesn't apply to this position, you just delete it off the list. So this is the scaled down version or the deleted version of this position. So this is all the things that this person will be doing. So now that I've got, okay, this is the outlines of the job description. Now here's the actual tasks that they're going to do. Now there's one more piece of paper that I am going to include in this ChatGPT prompt, because before we started working together, they actually wrote down everything that they wanted the person to do, some training things that they brainstormed around, exactly what it would look like to work in this company. And they kind of just brainstormed a bunch of information. So instead of me trying to morph that information into my prompts, I'm just going to add that as a document to my ChatGPT prompt. And so that way it can utilize the information that's already about this business, because we're not just going to create a job description. We're actually going to create a job description with a 30, 60, 90-day training plan. Because if you can nail the first 90 days with a new employee, you've nailed them for a very long time, and your business will actually grow. In fact, every single employee, if you nail this part, will add more revenue to your business. By 90 days, they should be making double what you are paying them. So if they're getting a $100,000 salary, they should be able to grow your business by $100,000 after you've already paid them $100,000. So that's 2x their salary. Now we've got to go and make all of that happen. So if you have any other brainstorm that you did, or one of my guys even just walked around on a walk holding his phone up and just chatted about what it would do, what this person would do, how they would do it, and all that, talking into Wave AI, which if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I'm a big fan of Wave AI, because you can brainstorm very easily and capture that brainstorming and then feed it different places for things to actually happen in your business, versus it being a brainstorming session and then you've lost all of that content. Those are the 3 documents that I'm going to load into ChatGPT with the prompt. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do this, and I'm going to say, okay, download. And I like to download it as a PDF. What I did is I went ahead and downloaded all of these into PDFs, and then I uploaded them as a PDF into ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT works much better by having a PDF downloaded and then uploaded into it versus copying and pasting chunks of information into that. So I'm going to say, hey, take all 3 of these PDFs and I want you to spit me out a job description. Now, if I just typed in, write me a job description for an office coordinator based off of all 3 of these things, it's probably not going to do a very good job. So this is where I'm going to go over and copy and paste my prompt into here. So that way I'm specifically giving it instructions of what I want and what that end result is going to look like for this job description. So I went and copied and pasted it into here. Now there's a couple of little tweaks that I got to make to this prompt so that way it's more specific for me. And like I mentioned, if you want this entire process on how to create job descriptions for your business, then just jump over to my Instagram account and type in job descriptions on any post, and you'll get this exact process and all of the prompts, so that way you can make job descriptions for your own construction business. Now, what I'm asking it to do is I'm going to ask it to be someone. So I'm asking it to be a human resource expert, and I want it to create a job description. Okay, so I put in just the type of work that we do. It's the elevator speech. What do you do that you need somebody to actually have an awareness about? So I'm going to delete all of this because that's what I filled in. Now I need a job description for, and you need to put the position name. So this particular one is for an office coordinator. Now this could be more of an admin. It could be an office manager. I try not to use the words office manager if they're not managing anything, because office managers tend to need to get paid a little bit more. Maybe this person's going to be a executive assistant of some sort. Well, they're going to be helping you on the personal side versus the business side, and so on and so forth. So you want to really make sure that the name matches the position. If you have a project manager and yet they're doing carpentry work and not really managing a job or managing people, then just throwing out the term project manager is actually going to get you people that don't fit the position. So this is where you want to make sure that your job title is something that's going to work for that position. Like, what are they going to do? For this particular position, they're going to be coordinating a lot of things, coordinating work, coordinating materials and supplies, and really doing a lot of admin jobs, but they're not just going to be pushing buttons and filing paperwork. So it's a little bit different than that because they're coordinating a lot of stuff in an admin role. So I call them an office coordinator. That's just a position term that I use, but you can use really whatever that position is. Just make sure that if you're going to use the word manager, that you know what they are managing within that position versus overpaying for somebody who's not doing any management skills. And if they are managing, are you looking for somebody who's going to be managing something? Managing a whole project, so meaning they're going to be managing subs, or are they going to be managing a team? Like, what is it? So just make sure that you are putting the right term there. Now, everything else looks pretty good. This is how I want the position to look like and everything like that. And then I say, hey, once I approve this job description, please provide me with the key interview questions to ask, an onboarding checklist, and the 30, 60, 90-day training schedule. So I am saying, hey, based off of all this information and looking for this person, what are the next couple of steps that I need to take in order to make this work inside my business? So this is the entire prompt. And what we're going to do is we're just going to let it generate. So we can see it sometimes takes a little bit of time, but we can see that everything is here. And what I like to do is make sure that I'm going through and very carefully critiquing this and saying, okay, does this work in my business? Is this exactly what I want? Is this pay rate really what I'm willing to pay? Maybe it's not, maybe it is. ChatGPT can get things wrong. It is a good launching point so that way you can go and critique things versus just blindly going, okay, well, this is what ChatGPT spit out at me. Therefore, this is going to be, set in stone and this is what it is. So for that area, they're suggesting that amount. The guy I'm working with is in this range, but probably on the little bit lower side. So maybe instead of going all the way up to 28, maybe we say that the compensation's anywhere from 20 to 26. So that way that range is more in line with what he's willing to pay. Maybe he's not willing to pay $28 an hour for somebody to just do some invoicing and answer the phone every once in a while. So you kind of have to figure out, okay, does this work for my business or does it not? So it obviously goes through and it lists everything that is required for this position. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm going to say that this is good. So now that I say that this is good, let's say I didn't have to give it any feedback. Now, if you don't have to give it any feedback, you may want to take a step back and be like, are you sure ChatGPT didn't mess something up? Because most of the time I have to make a couple of tweaks. It's about 90% good with this prompt, but it may not always get what you want because maybe we didn't feed it the right information. We're like, ooh, it's heavy on this side and we're really going to have it do this position be more responsible for these things. And so that's where you can update it right here in the prompt. But we're going to, for the sake of this video, just imagine that this was great and we're going to just move on. So the next part is we're just going to say, okay, this looks good. Please continue. So now we're going to let it create all of these things. Now, again, you don't want this to be the set in stone, end all be all. I'm only going to run my business through ChatGPT because it can morph into something that's not in line with who you are and what you do in your business, but it is definitely a good starting point. So some of the questions that it said for an interview is some general questions, some job specific questions. For this particular contractor, he's using Jobber. And so it's like, hey, have you used this before? Because if you've not used any type of software before, then there's a long learning curve for me to train you on how to use Jobber versus if you've used similar programs or you've used Jobber in the past, then it's going to make it easier for me to hire you and train you because I don't have to start from square one. So it has some different questions. Obviously, in an interview question, you're not going to ask all of these, but it gives you a good way to go, okay, these are some questions that I need to ask to make sure that I'm getting the right person for my business. Next thing, it has an onboarding checklist. So this is exactly where it is. Now, yes, it does say that it's HR compliant. Again, I know for a fact that ChatGPT can get it wrong. And so I want to just put it out there that just because ChatGPT said this or just because we put that prompt there does not mean it's actually legal. So just make sure that if you're using a payroll company, you can pass it by them, ask if they have an onboarding checklist, whatever you need to make sure it's online compliant, but do not just rely on ChatGPT for your legal needs. There's my little disclaimer for the HR compliance side of things and not relying on ChatGPT. So obviously this is everything that they need for the first week, the first month, the 30, 60, 90 days. These are all of it right here. And now we can go create an SOP. And so we can really understand, well, how do you actually do all of this? And so that's going to be another video for another day, but I hope this really helps you to not only create a job description for your business and for growing your construction company, but it's actually going to help you understand, how do I set somebody up for success so that by utilizing this, you can make sure that by the 90-day mark, they're making at least double what you're paying them. And then by the 6-month mark, they are making your business so much money by either direct or indirect revenue generating activities that you have the ability to go hire more people, free up your time, and grow your business. By utilizing a job description that is so thorough and having the entire training plan outlined, you have the ability to hire somebody, train them quickly, and have them be able to make your business double their income by that 90-day mark. So that way you can grow your business and scale it. Now, they could be making money indirectly or directly by utilizing a job description like this, where it's very thorough and it maps out the whole training plan. This is going to help you have the ability to have someone make more money for your business than you're paying them. And that is how you scale your construction business.